Now let's talk about polynomials. We just finished up monomials, so we're going to move on now to what we call polynomials. So a polynomial, that's just, well, it can be a monomial or it can be a sum of monomials, right? So it can just be one monomial, one term, or it can be a bunch of terms, 1, 2, 3, 4, or more monomials that are being added together. So for example, here we have a polynomial, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 different monomials that are being added together or subtracted, right? So that makes this a polynomial. Now for polynomials, we have what's called standard form, right? So this polynomial right here, 3x to the fourth plus 5x squared minus 7x plus 1, that's in standard form, right? Standard form means the degrees of its monomial terms decrease from left to right. And if we go term by term, this first monomial, it has a degree of 4, right? Remember, we just look at the exponents for monomials. This second monomial has a degree of 2. Third monomial has a degree of 1. And this last monomial, this constant term of 1, has a degree of 0. So as you can see, the monomial terms decrease in degrees from left to right. So now let's talk about how you find the degree of a polynomial. Right? So for polynomials with only one variable, the degree is the same thing as the monomial with the greatest exponent. So if we take a look at the expression or the polynomial we had at the beginning, this 3x to the fourth plus 5x squared minus 7x plus 1, well, we have to take a look. To find the degree of it, we look at the monomial with the greatest exponent, and that's that 3x to the fourth. And that greatest exponent is 4, so we say that this polynomial has a degree of 4. Now we can name polynomials based on its degree or the number of monomials that it contains. So if we take a look at some examples here, and let's bring up our chart. This first example, 4x squared plus 3x. So first we want to find the degree of this polynomial. So remember, to find the degree of a polynomial with the same variables, what we do, we just take a look at the monomial with the highest degree. And in this case, it would be 2, right? So this polynomial has a degree of 2. And then we take a look at the number of terms it has. So this polynomial has 2 terms. Let's stay consistent. 2 terms. So once we find the degree of the polynomial and the number of terms it has, we can classify it. So we go over to our chart. We see the degree is 2. So we call that quadratic. Whenever a polynomial has a degree of 2, it's called a quadratic. And then the number of terms is also 2, so we call it a binomial. So to classify this, it would be, let's restart this. So to classify, one more time, we would have a quadratic binomial. And then we can do the same thing for this next example. So we have 4x minus 1 plus 5x cubed plus 7x. So a little hint, it says simplify and write in standard form before classifying. So go ahead, try this one on your own, pause the video, try it on your own, and then you can resume the video and see how you did. So for this polynomial here, we want to follow this hint. We want to simplify it first and then write in standard form. So if we simplified this, right, we can do that by combining like terms. That would now become, well, we can combine this 4x and this 7x, and that would give us 11x minus 1 plus 5x cubed And now we just want to finish off writing that in standard form. So we want to write it in order of degrees from left to right. So this would be 5x cubed plus 11x minus 1. And now this is what we're going to use right here. So we want to classify, and in order to do that, we take a look at first the degree. So what's the degree of this polynomial right here? Well, remember, you take a look at the highest degree of a monomial in that, and we see that the highest degree here is 3. So this polynomial has a degree of 3, and we also see that there's 1, 2, 3 terms. So now we can go over to our chart and take a look. So we see that for a polynomial with a degree of 3, we call that cubic. All right, so this one is going to be cubic. And then it has 3 terms, so that is a trinomial. So this would be called a cubic trinomial. And that's how we classify our polynomials.